So I have created two variables called commission 1 and commission 2. And these are the two variables that I will be comparing using an if condition. And the syntax for the if condition in Java is exactly the same as you had it in C++ or in C#. Doesn't matter which language you learn. Okay. If commission is greater than, if commission 1 is greater than commission 2, you earned more commission last month. Else, you earn more commission this month. So a simple example that shows you that you earn more commission this month because the commission value for commission 2 is more than the commission value for commission 1. Okay? Now, if I switch things around, if I make this one 900 and rerun the program, of course, it will going to switch the answer just to show you that it is working both ways. These are called tests when you test your values. A couple weeks ago, we learned about value returning functions, if you guys remember that. What are value returning functions? The functions or value returning methods, the methods that you can call and they can return a value back to you, right? So we reviewed that concept last week and we're going to review it again today. I'm going to be creating a method which will help me accept a value from user and return it back. Okay, so public static. Should I have a return type for this value return? So value returning methods return type must match the value that you're returning. So it's double, and we're going to call this input, and we're going to customize it with some kind of a message so that we have more generalized method. Okay. Again, we'll create an object of scanner type as we learned in our previous class, which will allow us to take an input from user. I'm going to be displaying the message as my prompt. And I will simply return the value. This is a shortest possible way of returning a value because traditionally you would store a value in a variable and then return that variable. You don't have to do it. That's what I introduced to you for the first 2 weeks, that how you can first accept a value and then put it in a variable and return the variable. You can also directly return the value as it arrives. So what the syntax will do, it will ask user for an input. As soon as the input comes, it will return that. I could also do it by writing an instruction, but there is no point of doing that if you don't need to. Now going back to line number 6, instead of 1000, I will call the input method and I will pass it some kind of a message like enter value for commission, or I should say enter value for last month's commission. And then I can say enter value for this month's commission. As you save the changes and run the program, It will ask you for a couple inputs, and based on your input, it'll going to tell you the output. So as we are moving forward, that's one of the things that I want to do in every class, is to include things that you have done in the previous chapters. That way, you know, we can have a way of reviewing things. So value returning methods simply return a value back to the caller. Do you guys know the difference between these three instructions? Can you explain the first instruction, line number 20? When will you use an unnamed instance? And unnamed instances are generally used if you want to just use an instance once and then you will never going to touch it again. For example, if you only need an instance to return a value back, so you can create an unnamed instance right in the return instruction, because you will never use it before the instruction, you will never use it after the instruction. So you can create on the fly an instance, so that way your code is more memory efficient, and you'll never gonna need that instance ever again. If you look at line number 14, what is the purpose of input?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
You basically used it in only one instruction, which is line 16. So how about if I copy the right-hand side of the equals to and replace the input with it, okay? What am I doing? I'm asking to create an instance on the fly, unnamed instance, take a double input, return it, and then be done with it. So let me comment out line number 14 so that you have it in your code, but just so that you also understand that it's not needed. And why I did not introduce this to you last week, because again, you know, I only want to introduce some knowledge to you every week. Once you master it, and then add on it. Okay, so now 1500, 1503, the answer is absolutely the way, because the last month's commission is less than this month's commission. So that's why you earn more commission this month. The answer is correct. So in this case, just remember, anytime you will only need an instance for once and not going to need it ever again, you can see into if you can create an unnamed instance, and that will help you create more memory efficient code.
Yes.
Okay, now when we try to run this example again and give the exact same value for both commissions, the answer is logically incorrect, because both are same values. It is not supposed to tell me that this month's is more. The problem happens is on line number 8. Why? Because when one is not greater than the other, we automatically assume that the other thing is like true. So to solve this problem, we will add one more condition in between, which is else if. Else if commission 1 is equals to, you use 2 equals to, okay? Commission number 2, then you earn same commission this month as last month. Now when you run this program and you enter same amount for both commissions, it'll say you earned same commission this month as last month. If you're done with this, we will right-click to create a new class, and we're going to call this one demo if condition 2 with a public static void main. In our next example, we will try to use more than one else ifs, and I will also try to incorporate logical operators. Okay, logical operators in Java. are and, which is written out as 2 ampersands, or which is written out as 2 pipes, and not, which is written out as an exclamation mark. Same as C#, but if you're coming from Visual Basic, you are more familiar with the words and or not, because in Visual Basic, they're spelled out. In Java, C#, because of C, it's symbolic, okay? Symbols. Now, we will accept from user a score. So program to accept score from user and display the letter grade. The association concept is...
Oh, I know what you're doing. Just because both of our classes are public, we just do demo if condition 1 dot input.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what you were. That's where you're going with this. That makes sense.
So once you have it accessible to you, then you can simply just call if demo if condition 1 dot input and pass it a message, enter score. See, I told you, we'll try to review as much as possible in each class. Okay. Okay. Now, if score, by the way, did everybody understand what I just did on line number 7? Just want to make sure that everybody understands that there is a method that exists in if condition 1 that we just created, which is an input method which accepts an argument of type string. We can just simply accept the argument, whatever we want the method to do, display that as an input message, accept the input from user on line 18, and simply return that. So when we were in the local class, we were just simply calling input directly. Now that we are in a different class in the same project, we can now call it by the class name because the method is static. Anytime you have a method in another class that you can access, and both classes can see each other, that's what I mean by access, because they're in the same project, that you can simply call that method, and that's called the association of one class associating with another class and calling its methods. So now score is greater than equals to 90, and score is less than equals to 100. So since score has to be true according to both ranges, that's the only way the score could be within the range. So for example, if I enter a value of 99, 99 is greater than equals to 90, and at the same time, it is less than equals to 100. An AND operator forces that both conditions must be met. So therefore, 99 will be a valid input for that condition. Now, let's say if I put 101. 101 is only valid according to the first condition, but not valid according to the second condition because it is not less than equals to 100. Therefore, the AND will be false. Same goes with 89. 89 doesn't meet the first condition, but only meets the second condition. And because of AND, the whole condition will be false. So AND requires both conditions to be true. That's rule number 1. Second of all, why can't I write like this? Why can't I just say score greater than equals to 90 and 100? Like the way I say it. Why can't I write like that? Okay. When I'm on line number 14, am I sure of the fact that the value is not 70 or over?
Yes.
Correct? So that means whenever I am past the first check, I'm already sure of the upper bounds. I only need to check the lower bounds. So after the first one, checking of the upper bound is meaningless because the previous condition took care of that for me. I only now need to check for the lower bound. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So now rerun the code after deleting that much. So we will only leave the first condition to be an and condition, and all others will be just one conditions because the condition above is taken care of the first check. Your output will stay the same. What will be the output of your program if you enter 105? What will you going to get?
F.
F. Why? Because all conditions fail. And when all conditions fail, it go to else. So
No,
what I
it
want to
would
make sure
it would be
is,
B here.
no, if it is 105, it will be
Right.
B.
Yeah, because
According to
Yeah.
now,
fails.
yes.
It
According to
fails.
now, it will going to be
Yeah.
100. Yep, you're right. According to now, it will going to be B because I took the upper bound away. So if I enter 105, it will going to be B. Right. Absolutely right. Which is incorrect. Right. So there is some kind of a logical problem in the code, which we can address by using a nested if condition. We can have an outer check to make sure the value is within 0 and 100. Only then we want to make an inner check. So we will write here another if condition. If score is greater than equals to 0 and score is less than equals to 100, then from here to here is one body. Okay, so this whole check is now within 0 through 100. Else, you can tell the user value must be between 0 through 100 inclusive. Okay, so if you do not enter a value within this range, so now what we have entered into is what we call a nested if condition, because we have an outer if and we have an inner if. A nested if condition so line number 9, we're going to make sure. Okay, so if I run my program and now enter 105, it will going to go to the else, because my outer if is forcing me to enter a value within the range, and now it will work just fine. Okay. Even I can check for negative values like negative 25 and still, so anything outside of 0 through 100, it just sends it to else. Now we will do a simple example in if condition, using if condition, and then we will solve the same problem without using if condition. So let's create a new class. We're going to call this one Ternary Op 1 double num1 equals to, I'll use the same approach, demo if condition 1 dot input enter value for number 1 and enter value for number 2. Let me show you how you can comment the code without typing. So you select the lines that you want to comment. For example, I want to comment these 4 lines. So I'm going to select these 4 lines. Then I'm going to click on the source menu. And notice the first 2 options, toggle comment and add block comment. Okay. So if I click on toggle comment, it adds single line comments. If I go back and click on toggle comment, it removes comments. If I go to source and click on add block comment, it just adds a block comment. Similarly, if I go back and say remove block comment, it removes the block comment. Everybody see that, right? Okay, so we're going to be adding block comment on these 4 lines. So that I can show you an alternate approach to doing the same thing as those 4 lines were doing. Prior to doing that, I want to ask you a question. From C#, do you guys remember this operator, the one that I just typed on my screen, line number 7? Do you remember this operator from C#? Visual Basic doesn't has it.
I think
Camera
so,
room.
yeah.
Yeah, Cameron, Christian, you also remember this operator?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If what I'm thinking of is right, not in that form explicitly, but
But that's the original form of the operator.
yeah.
Okay. Tom will not know because Tom, you took Visual Basic, right?
Right.
Right. So what this operator does, it's called a ternary operator. I mean, that's not the official name. The official name is conditional operator. The category is ternary operator because that's the only operator that takes 3 values, as opposed to binary takes 2 and unary takes 1. So this takes 3 values. So what is the first value? Before the question mark is your condition. After the question mark is a value number 1, and after the colon is the value number 2. And this is how it works. If condition is true, return value 1. Otherwise, return value 2. That's how it works. So it works like an if condition. So I can easily use that here, that num1 greater than num2, and check. If this condition is true, then return num1 into max. Otherwise, return num2 into max. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is this what you're talking about? This, you saw it in this form?
Yeah.
Okay. So now when you run it, it gives you the exact same output as before. So it takes 2 numbers and gives you the max of the 2. And of course, you can use math.max as well, but I'm just using this example to show you this example. Now what I would like to do, guys, is on line number 9, I would like to comment this line altogether, just comment it. Okay, of course, line number 14 will give you an error because the max variable is not declared anymore. So what I want you to do is copy the right-hand side of this equals to and replace the max with it. But you have to make sure that this whole instruction is within parentheses, okay? Because if you directly put it in the system.out.println, it doesn't know. You have to give it in parentheses so it knows this is one whole operator. So now you will be able to do exactly the same thing without using the max instruction. So again, we reduce the code down to 3 lines. First, the original code was 7 lines. Then we reduced it to 4, and now we are reducing it to 3. And go ahead and test it. Everybody test to make sure that it works exactly the same way. Oh, sorry, I mistyped it. To make sure that it works exactly the same way as before.
Yep.
Let me show you another way to display line number 14. But for that, I would ask you to look at the back of your book in the appendices. I'll tell you the page number. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Can you guys look at page number 815 at the back of your book? Page 815. We have a printf function. What printf function is used for? Printf function is used to display the string in a formatted fashion. So when you use printf, you don't have to use concatenation operator to break up your output in so many different ways. What you do in system.out.printf is you write an entire string. For example, this is my string. Max of num1 and num2 is this. I'm going to just write that whole string in the double quotes. Max of something and something is something, right? I'm just putting those placeholders as blank. Blank, blank, and a blank, right? What is the data type of num1? Double. So for double, as you can see on page number 815, what do we use? %f. %f. For integer, we use %d. For string, we use %s. It shows you later on within the section. Okay. So I'm going to use 3 %f. %f, %f, and %f. So those are my 3 placeholders, okay? What will go in those 3 placeholders? The first one is num1, the second one is num2, and the third one is this whole condition. Now I can comment on line number 14 and rerun the program. Okay, we're going to work on this output just a little bit more, but just so that you can see that there is a benefit of using printf because it lets you write one long string with placeholders, and then these placeholders get replaced by the variables during runtime. So the first placeholder gets its value from first variable, second one gets its value from the second variable, and the third one gets its value from the third expression. Okay, is everybody caught up with this? And did you understand how does the printf works in comparison to println? That you write one long string with placeholders, and then you write the list of the variables that will go in those placeholders. Now notice your output has 6 decimal places, and that's the default for floating point. So now use 0.2 and 0.2 and rerun it. So notice now your output is limited to 2 decimal places.